After World War I, many farmers began to overuse their land. At this time, the land became very barren and dry. The combination of the drought and the lack of crops, this created a 6-year period in America known as the Dust Bowl. Today I will be interviewing various people that know lots of facts about the Dust Bowl. They've lived here for many years and they know a lot of facts about the land. Let's find out.
You there, sir!
Oh, howdy.
Hey, I'd like to wonder, how was life living in the Great Plains before, during, and after World War I?
Well, before World War I, everything was good because we're making good money off crops. The soil was fine, rich, and it stayed the same going into World War I. Made a nice living for me and the family. Crops, demand was high, prices were high. We had a low supply actually, but then it all went downhill after World War I.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No one just needed they just didn't need crops anymore. And, it was really bad for the economy because after the war, no more countries needed their crops anymore because they could start farming for countries. They didn't need it. They could do it themselves, which means that they didn't want ours. And we had so much supply, and demand was so low, we lost money. In fact, we actually needed to get money from the banks, which turned out to hurt us in the long run because we couldn't pay it back because the Dust Bowl hit.
Very interesting.
Cut it. Man, the Dust Bowl, that really hit hard. Well, one day everything was fine, and the next day, we woke up, everything was destroyed. Crops were all gone, all the houses were destroyed, my cattle were almost dying, they're all dead because they suffocated from the dust. And we were forced, they tried forcing us out, but me for one, I didn't want to go. So, I stayed, but I needed to get more plows, new plows that would fix all the soil. And I didn't have money because, no other countries needed my crops.
There, sir. What is the history of human activity on the Great Plains?
It was nice. People used to grow crops such as squash, corn. People had a lot of encounters with natives. The soil was really great. It was very firm. It was easy to plant anything you want. And rain was essential, and we always got that every year. The wind was nice, everything was calm. Till the Dust Bowl happened. That took away everything. All we had is dust around us. Plants were dead. Everything was dead. I didn't know what to do. So, that's what happened.
Sir, tell me about prices of crops after the Dust Bowl.
Well, before the Dust Bowl, business was booming. All my crops were being sold, the wheats, everything was being sold for a good amount of money. Till the Dust Bowl happened and
You
took
say
away
Dust Bowl?
Yes, sir.
That was hell on earth. I remember like it was yesterday. Yes. Terrible. We lost all our money, crops, my cattle suffocated to death.
I went into debt. I put all my money, tried to buy credit.
The banks took my land. They made me go out to California. I was guaranteed a job out there. Never happened.
It's a rough life. It's a rough life.
Sounds horrible.
It was. I'd rather there be a war going on than have another Dust Bowl ever happen again.
Alright, so what states were considered to be part of the Great Plains?
Alright, so the 5 main states that were part of the Great Plains were Oklahoma, Colorado, Kansas, Texas, and northeastern Mexico.
So what regions were affected by the Dust Bowl?
The whole United States of America was affected by the Dust Bowl, but the dust also spread to major cities like New York City and Washington, D.C.
Wow, that's really far.
Yeah, I know. I was really surprised when I heard that news.
So tell me, sir, how did the stock market crash and how did it affect the Great Plains?
Well, after the stock market crash, everybody started pulling their money out of the banks. And once that happened, all the crop prices started going down, and people started taking less money for their jobs. Well, all the farmers overproduced their crops, so it caused the price to go down. And once that happened, farming began to decline very, very quickly.
Oh.
How do farmers try to adjust the problems with the Dust Bowl?
Well, to compensate for all the dust on the ground, we had to find a way to turn up the soil to plant again. So we had different kind of plows, such as the lister plow and the one-way plow, which made life easier but were really expensive. But they would do the job really good.
Alright, so tell me, how did the U.S. government try to fix the problems with the Dust Bowl?
The U.S. government and Franklin D. Roosevelt had 2 responses to the Dust Bowl. Roosevelt addressed soil conservation, the key to turning around the Dust Bowl conditions, by creating the Civilian Conservation Corps, the CCC, and the Soil Erosion Service. The Soil Erosion Service was the first major commitment to preserve privately owned natural resources. The government also created laws and agencies to aid financial burdens of migrants and farmers that were affected by the Dust Bowl.
So tell me, how successful were the farmers in reversing the effects of the Dust Bowl?
Well, it was very unsuccessful because farmers were losing profit, and then also they were all having to leave their land. Before the war, we were selling good crops, we were making a good amount of crops. During the war, we were making a ton of crops, and we were selling a lot of crops. But after the war, we had too many crops, and no one wanted to buy them. We didn't really know what to do with the land, because they already used it too much before the Dust Bowl ever even happened. So at this point, it was too far for the farmers to ever do anything.
Okay, so today I think we learned a lot of valuable information about the Great Plains and the Dust Bowl. We learned all about the boom and bust cycle. We learned all about the extremely harsh conditions that the farmers had to endure. And we also learned all about the farmers' efforts and how they failed to fix the problems of the Dust Bowl. Luke does a sign. After this, the land became very barren and dry, causing the drought to I don't freaking know, it's hard.
Alright, so tell me about life during the
Here's eating my crops, which kind of suck. No, I can't even say that.
What a brave man. Alright, sir. What is the history of human activity on the Great Plains?
It was very nice, calm, beautiful. I met many natives before, and the soil was great, and the wind was great. Rain was amazing. We got it almost every year, until it stopped raining. That didn't sound good. I didn't know what to do, so that's what happened.
Alright, sir. Tell me how the stock market crashed and how it affected the people of the Great Plains.
Well, after the stock... Oh my god.
So, how did farmers try to...
Okay, so today I think I learned a lot of valuable information about the Great Plains and the Dust Bowl. We learned all about how the farmers' efforts were very unsuccessful. Alright, just freaking... Do you want to wait till this plane goes away? Okay, so I think we learned a lot of valuable information about the Great Plains and the Dust Bowl. Valuable! Okay, so I think we...